Do you have issues getting your Instagram content recommended? Do you feel like you're shadow banned maybe even? Well, a few days ago, Instagram released a bunch of interesting things showing creators how to get recommended, and they also dropped another interesting hint. And it seems like this thing is so important to them that in addition to a video from our old friend Moziri, this time they also released an in-depth blog post as well as a 20-page recommendations handbook. So people actually get it and don't always blame the Instagram algorithm for their lack of reach. I've linked it down in my description, by the way. Anyway, in his video, our old friend Moziri sort of confirmed a prediction I made about a few weeks ago that they'll change their algorithm to an interest-based one that mostly relies on recommendations. Here's what he said.
And our hope is that the future of feed will be largely driven by recommendations.
All right, hold on. Did he say the exact opposite last week, sort of? Well, let's take a look at it again.
Why we reduced the percentage of feed that are recommendations.
Well, I'm sure there is a reason, right? So let's first of all take a look at their guide on how to get recommended, cross-reference it with my data and experience, and then I'll show you how this thing actually works. The first thing they said is nothing new if you're a dominator, meaning you watch me here regularly. Doesn't matter if you subscribe or not. If I'm on your homepage, that's it. I'm a part of you. You're a dominator. And basically they talk about their guidelines you need to adhere to if you want to get recommended. I do have some videos about them, so, you know, we're not gonna right now, but just for the new ones around the block. For example, you won't get recommended if your content promotes a supplement or a giveaway. Yes. Also, you need to have a public account and not a private one. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but actually I do, watching my DMs. Now, here's where it actually gets really interesting, my friends. They also issued some best practices to get recommended, and what they say is quite eye-opening. First of all, and apparently the most important thing for them right now, is that you post original content, meaning content you actually have made yourself from scratch. They said it before, but now it's sort of clear they want to push content creators. We talked about this. Re-uploading will actually not get you recommended as much anymore. So for example, a lot of theme pages need to be aware that they need to add something on their own. Just featuring other accounts is just not doing it anymore. And Moziri even briefly addressed this in his video.
And if we're really thoughtful, we can shift more distribution from aggregators, who I think today get more than their fair share of distribution on Instagram, to creators. Again, particularly small creators, I think we can do more by, because we want to be a platform where anybody can grow an audience and make a living over the long run.
Which means repost pages and the likes of it are even going to see a bigger reach drop over the next few months, because real creators, and especially smaller creators, are getting a share of their pie. The second thing is sort of obvious, but there's still a few interesting things if you read between the lines. First of all, they say make sure that reels are a part of your content strategy to maximize your opportunities to be recommended. Yeah, big point being obviously having a content strategy. So honestly, try to answer this question to yourself right now. Do you have a content strategy, or are you just more or less posting random things? You know, something to think about. If not, we have a bunch of videos right here talking about it. The next important thing that you all should know is obviously having a strong hook. They say pull the viewer in within the first 3 seconds, actually even a little bit faster if you ask me. And they say keep them interested the whole time, talking about what I call secondary hooks and pattern interrupts, right? We talked about this here. And we, by the way, recently had a whole practical lesson inside our weekly Reels trend reports about those pattern interrupts and keeping people engaged. And if you don't know about these trend reports that I personally put out, it's basically weekly Reels trend reports that go beyond just sharing trending audio clips, you know, to use. I actually take interesting clips, interesting Reels ideas. We show example hooks and different ways how to use them. And I'll also share the strategy behind why certain elements actually work. So pretty amazing stuff if you ask me. And right now, since we've only been open for about 2 months to my closest students, we have a huge discount available, and we'll increase the price actually pretty soon. So make sure to check it out. You can cancel monthly, so no worries about that. Next thing being avoiding visibly recycled content, aka TikTok watermarks, or things that are low quality. You should all know that by now. We're not gonna get into this right now, but here's what I'm sure you didn't know. Buried somewhere in there was a link to how and why they might cut your reach if you're a bad one. To spare you all the details, they do cut your reach if you post something against these guidelines. And for example, if you reposted something that's been flagged as misinformation, you'll have the flag generally for 90 days, meaning your reach will immediately drop for up to 90 days. However, and that's another interesting thing, if you, let's say 3 weeks later, show similar behavior and like or share posts that are getting flagged because of that, or if you share content that's okay, But from accounts that usually get flagged a lot, you might get another flag starting another 90 days. Yeah, pretty crazy if you ask me. They also say these restrictions will be maximum for 1 year. So if you've done something really wrong, in their eyes, 1 year gone by. You're just gonna have to deal with it, I guess. Now, the third really big thing they say important is search. Yes, you heard it right, and I believe they'll soon roll out some kind of search update because, people use Instagram as a search engine. And one thing they say is important to get found right now are hashtags, right? Not only for search, but also to get recommended to a broader audience for their content recommendation system. And this video will show you how to do that and why you've probably used hashtags wrong in the past year.